Stop. Before you apply for any Navy Federal product, such as a credit card, a loan, or whatever it is, you got to know how to avoid getting denied. The last thing that you want to do is to see a pop-up saying that they can't approve your application at this time, or getting a letter in the mail showing why they didn't approve you, and on top of that, get a hard inquiry on your credit report that stays there for 2 years for no reason. In fact, everything that I will share with you has helped me get approved for the flagship credit card and 2 auto loans without any issues. What's up, winners? My name is Nam. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance and credit. Start out by subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos. Like most of you, I hate the feeling of anticipation once I hit submit on any application to know whether or not I got approved or denied. And if I'm denied, I'm left there scratching my head wondering why. Getting denied for any type of application is never a good feeling. It feels like a personal attack sometimes. But learning why you got denied can get you a better understanding of how you can do better when you reapply again. You see, anytime that you apply for a credit card, a loan, or anything that requires to pull your credit, you typically get a letter sent to you. This is what is called an adverse action letter, which will break down everything that you need to know about why you got denied. Now, this is what is usually on there: your Navy Federal internal score and the reasons on what is hurting your score. So we're gonna dive deep into both of these so you have a better understanding of how to prevent denials from happening. So one of the first things that you would see on this letter is your internal score. One of the only ways to actually get this is by applying for another credit card and just getting this through the mail. You can try to call customer service for this, but they may not have no clue what you're talking about. But I have also been told that loan officers may have access to this, but it seems like hit or miss depending on who you talk to. So the majority of the time, the only time that you would ever see this is after applications. The internal score is essentially just a specific credit score just for Navy Federal. Since Navy Federal is a credit union, relationship banking is key. This means the more products that you have opened with Navy Federal and the longer you've been a member, the higher they would rank you on the scoring system. So here are some things that you can do right now to boost your internal score with Navy Fed. First, you want to have direct deposit set up. It just makes sense since any type of financial institution like a bank or a credit union, they're gonna be taking money from you and lending it out to other people, and this is how they make their money. So first things first, make sure you set up direct deposit. So to piggyback off direct deposit, you may want to have a larger balance in your checkings or savings account before you apply for credit cards or loans with Navy Fed. Because there's plenty of times where people just open up Navy Federal checking accounts and only deposit $5 and really don't do anything with it. They just want to become a member so they can get access to the high credit limit credit cards and no doc loans, and there's really nothing wrong with that. But you got to keep in mind that Navy Fed is still a business and they want your money. So using them as your primary banking source strengthens your relationship with them and in turn give you a higher internal score. Now, if you carry a balance that's greater than $1,500 on a daily basis, I would highly recommend getting a flagship checking account since it would further increase your internal score. But it does come at a cost of at least $10 if your average daily balance is under this amount. The next thing to do is to avoid negative balances at all costs. This pertains mostly to your checkings account, so you don't want to have any overdrafts or negative balances. This can look very bad not just with Navy Federal, but with most banks and credit unions. Because the more often you have negative balances, the more risky you become to the credit union. There are protections for this, like an overdraft savings transfer. Essentially, if you have an overdraft from a check or an automatic payment, they would automatically move money from your linked savings account into your checking account to cover that overdraft. Now, there are other systems in place like checking line of credit and optional overdraft protection service called OOPS, but regardless, avoid overdrafts at all costs. If your credit is on the lower end or if you don't have an active loan on your credit report, then I would highly recommend getting a pledge loan. For those with a good credit score, this is optional, but it can only help. So in a nutshell, a pledge loan is just a secure loan, and all you're doing is just giving a loan to yourself. Now, this is just one of those things where you have to pay to play, but this can help you manufacture your credit score and also build your relationship with Navy Federal. The reason being because this is just another money grab for Navy Federal since they do earn a little bit of interest off that money. So what's in it for you is by having an extra trade line reported to the credit bureaus. Also, depending on how much money that you're able to set aside for this pledge loan, whether it is $1,000 or $100,000, this can really help you get large loans in the future, not only with Navy Federal, but with other financial institutions as well. Now, there is a specific strategy for the pledge loan so you can get the most out of it. So check out the video up here or in the description once you finish this video. But the quick summary is to create a loan and use those proceeds to pay off 80 to 90% of the loan right away and leave the remainder in there for the term of the loan. This does a few things. First, this lowers your debt, so it looks like you have almost a paid off loan. Installment loans like this one helps your credit score the most when the balance is almost paid off. Second is that you may not have another payment for a few months or even a few years, or the minimum payment is very low. This in turn will help you build a positive payment history on autopilot. Now, of course, this would affect your credit by having another hard inquiry, but the benefits outweigh the risks. Before moving on, I would like to mention if your credit score is not where you want it to be, I do have a software that can help you with your credit repair for a fraction of the cost that you would pay an agency. It's called Credit Rehab Pro. It allows you to easily dispute as many accounts as you want across all 3 credit bureaus. In a matter of seconds, you can create dispute letters specific towards your situation and print them out at home. What's more is that if an account wasn't deleted, the software suggests a new strategy for additional disputes. You see, Credit Rehab Pro is just not another tool. It's like a personal credit coach that guides you through the entire step in the right order. And the best part, you have full control. You can repair your credit at your own pace in your own time. I do have a link down in the description if you want to check it out. The next thing that goes into your internal score is your length of membership. So there's really no hack around this. It is just something that it just has to take its course. So for me, I actually signed up for Navy Federal a long time ago when I was actually in the Marine Corps. But the thing is that I really never took advantage of Navy Federal because I was banking with USAA, which is another military bank. But even though I did not use Navy Federal, I do have a history with them since I had the account open for such a long time. Now that you have an understanding of some of the things that go into an internal score, let's go over what else is shown on the adverse action letter. What you will also see will be the key factors that adversely affect your Navy Federal credit score. Essentially, this is what you need to focus on for future applications. So whenever it does come time to apply for more lending or credit, you would have a higher chance of getting approved. Now, let's go over some of the most common ones. I won't be able to cover all of them, so if you have any questions about any of them, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to address them for you. So the first one that you may come across is the balance status of Navy Federal accounts. So this is pretty self-explanatory. So if your checkings or savings accounts are low, then this can adversely affect your Navy Federal internal score. Also, if your credit cards or loans are close to the maximum, then it also hurts you when applying for new lending, since in that instance, this really affects your debt to income ratio. They really don't want to lend out more money when they have already lent out a lot already. Next is utilization of bank card credit lines in the last 12 months. Now, this is just your credit usage across your credit cards within the past 12 months. Remember, the balance left over after the statement closing date is the amount that is reported. So whenever you pay for your credit card statements, if you pay before the statement closing date, this is the number that gets reported. Even though Navy Federal will know all of your transactions for the cards that belong to them, if you are able to maintain the balances low before the statement closing date, this will only help you for approvals. I get that a backlog of the past 12 months is a long time, so knowing this information, just start now. Your future self will thank you. Next is insufficient variety of secure loan accounts. Basically, if you don't have any active loans on your credit profile, it means that there's no positive information helping you out. You can solve this by either getting a pledge loan with Navy Federal, which strengthens your relationship with them, and also adds an installment line of credit to your profile. Another option is to get a credit builder loan from a company like Self, which also adds an installment line of credit, but going with Navy Federal directly would be even better. So the next thing that you might notice is the number of payments that you made in the past year. Usually, folks new to credit are the ones who will spot this kind of discrepancy. The longer you've had your credit cards, the more extensive your payment history. So in turn, the better your chances for successful applications. Just remember, the key is to keep making those payments on time. The next one that you may see is the number of inquiries on your credit report. So whenever you apply for credit cards, Navy Federal, they will pull your TransUnion credit report. And for loans, most likely they will pull Equifax. Depending on the type of lending that you are after, just keep an eye on these inquiries for those credit bureaus. A good rule of thumb is to have no more than one hard inquiry every 3 to 6 months. So it's kind of like the Chase 524 rule, so spreading out your credit applications give you a better odds of approval, so you don't look desperate for credit. Also remember that hard inquiries stay on your credit report for at least 2 years, with the most impact in the first year. If you notice any unauthorized hard inquiries, then consider credit repair or disputing them. Next, you may come across a variation of this, which is the number of third-party collection accounts or recent charge-offs. Basically, this is about delinquencies. So whenever there are late payments, charge-offs, or collections on your credit profile related to Navy Federal, it's gonna be tough to recover from this unless you remove them from your report. And even if they do, their internal system will still keep a record. Now, if you have delinquencies from different credit profiles, Unless there are errors that you can't get removed, it will definitely count against your applications. Any derogatory marks on your credit report with a credit union or bank will only work against you, so this is usually reflected in your credit score. So knowing all of this info, the name of the game is credit readiness. You gotta keep your credit in tip-top shape, like whenever you wanna apply for your next credit card or a car loan or any type of lending, like picture the Olympics, right? Athletes, they train day in and day out to be in tip-top shape so they're ready to go when it's time to compete. Now imagine not training at all and then going for a race. It's gonna look sad, right? That's how you gotta treat your credit. So Navy Federal isn't any different when it comes to applications. Knowing what can negatively impact your credit will help you understand what can increase your chances of approval. So basically having a steady balance in your checkings and savings accounts, no derogatories, and a good mix of different types of accounts like credit cards and installment loans. I get that these things only apply to your credit profile, but getting the lending that you want takes time, especially when it comes to higher credit limits or larger auto loans. For example, if you have only had an auto loan for $30,000 in the past, it's unlikely that they will approve you for a $100,000 loan right away, even if you have good income. But if you ask for $60,000 instead, your chances of approval are much higher. Once you've had that $60,000 loan for a while, then you could probably get your next auto loan for $120,000 or even go higher. Remember, building a relationship with Navy Federal takes time. It's like dating before getting married. You want to get to know each other before tying a knot, right? Same goes for building a relationship with Navy Federal. If you've ever been denied for Navy Federal, drop a comment and let me know the reasons. I'll do my best to help you out. And if you want to hang out with me some more and learn more about Navy Federal, make sure to check out these videos over here.